US places former Paraguayan president on corruption list. You know, regardless of if someone is corrupt or not, the fact that the USA thinks that, like, they should have the authority to declare what foreign politicians are corrupt or not is just such a fucking colonial mindset. They are so fucking ridiculous. Reminds me of the way that, like, the US and the EU uniquely are some of the only countries in the world that consider themselves, like, uniquely endowed to, like, police other countries in these sorts of ways. Like, the US State Department, like, puts out a report on, like, half the countries in the world every year on human rights practices, like this one that we're loading here on Bolivia. What an insanely colonialist mindset. Imagine what Americans would think if fucking Russia released reports on the USA and how it oppresses black people or whatever. They'd be like, oh, those fucking Russians are interfering in our politics. But the USA releases reports, country reports on human rights practices every year, where they do their best to delegitimize especially any remotely left-leaning government anywhere in the world. In this report, one of the human rights violations that they talk about is the arrest and imprisonment of actual massacre perpetrator, former coup dictator Janine Áñez. In this State Department report on the evil human rights practices of Bolivia, the fucking USA releases human rights reports on, like, most of the countries in the world, and they act like they're the fucking righteous world police who can tell you what to do. This is such a great example of, like, the so-called soft imperialism that, like, the EU, the US, etc. deal in. Not even China does this. Not even their main rival does this sort of shit. The USA, the country that has caused by far the most countries in the world to be in economic misery, to be in poverty, to be decades behind where they should be, is pronouncing to other countries what they should and shouldn't do. And it has like a set of criticisms and recommendations for basically most of the countries in the world here, aside from their main allies, of course. It is so fucking absurd that the country that, like, thinks it should have, like, a unique and special right, along with the EU, to, like, make pronouncements on what other countries are doing right and wrong, that's already absurd in of itself, right? But the fact that they do it while themselves being by far the world's worst human rights abuser, by far the world's biggest warmongering genocidal country, just makes it even more absurd, especially since even internally, even ignoring the millions of people they murder all over the world, one of the most oppressive nations in the world. The US froze millions of people into prison on a racial basis, the highest prison population per capita in the entire fucking world. They have the fucking gall to try and tell any other country that they're violating human rights to release State Department human rights reports. It is so unbelievable. It is so fucking shameless. American exceptionalism par excellence. And the people who, like, support these sort of things, the people who put any sort of weight on these sorts of things, are absolute fucking sociopaths. Unbelievable. The EU does the same thing too, so I'm not letting them off the hook too. I'm just using the US as an example. They're both terrible.